Hello and welcome, listeners, to That's a Good Card. Today, Ya will have the challenge of getting me to say, that's a good card. And while Ya will be doing the convincing, I'll be playing the devil's advocate. If you're interested in more TAGC content, as well as access to our awesome Discord channel, check out our Patreon in the link down below. Also, now's a good time to remind you to hit that subscribe button if you're listening to us on YouTube. And please leave a comment below with your thoughts on today's topic, as well as a suggestion for our next card. All right, y'all, let's get started. This one is a spicy one and was recommended to us by quite a few people. So I want to first shout out my friend from the Pacific Northwest, Forrest, also known as Yoom on Discord, who gave me this recommendation probably like 3-4 months ago. So I was excited when you brought it to me because I was like, yes, say less. Forrest had already mentioned it to me. And she's a great player up here. So I just want to shout her out. And yeah, who else recommended this card to us?
As listeners will see in a little bit, this comes to us from the Glasses of Urza video. Devil Monroe and Boykman both recommended Valki, God of Lies, which is also Tybalt, Cosmic Imposter. That's right, our very first MDFC. I checked.
Is it? That makes sense. See, I don't even know it was an MDFC because the back of the card is so bad. Anyway, continue. Read off the card.
It's not that
Oh, no,
bad.
We're going to have to read two versions of the card.
All right. So, Valki, God of Lies, reads, it's a one generic, one black pip, legendary creature god. When Valki enters the battlefield, each opponent reveals their hand. For each opponent, exile a creature card they revealed this way until Valki leaves the battlefield. Second ability, pay X. Choose a creature card exiled with Valki with converted mana cost X. Valki becomes a copy of that card, and it's a 2/1. On the backside, Tybalt, Cosmic Imposter. 5 generic, a black pip and a red pip, 7 total, legendary planeswalker, Tybalt. As Tybalt enters the battlefield, you get an emblem with you may play cards exiled with Tybalt, Cosmic Imposter, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast those spells. +2, exile the top of each player's library. -3, exile target artifact or creature. -8, exile all cards from all graveyards. Add 3 red mana. And it comes in with 5 loyalty. That's a first planeswalker I actually think we've also covered.
Is that true? Wait, we've never done a planeswalker before?
Never done
there's actually one that I really want to do, and I'm surprised that we haven't done it yet. Okay, I'm gonna let the listeners guess what planeswalker it is because there's definitely one that I always think about, and it's in a lot of considering piles. But that's funny. But Tybalt, Cosmic Imposter, I guess, beat it out because that's why we're talking about this card, right, y'all? Not the other side.
Yeah.
Sure. Question mark? All right, y'all. Let's get into where we're seeing this card being played.
Moxfield has over 746 bracket 5 decks running this card, which is higher and lower.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I thought it would be really low.
To me, I was like,
really low, like 200, or 999 plus, like 1,000.
I thought it would be 999 plus too, just because it's been around the block for a while, and it used to be seen in a lot of lists back in the day. And I feel like people don't really clean up their Moxfield profiles, but maybe it's because there were older lists and they hadn't added the bracket 5 tag on their list because they haven't touched the list in a long time.
That's also true.
That could be
possible. That's possible. Yeah. When we filter to 64 players or more in terms of tournaments, this has seen 3 top cuts and 1 win in the last 3 months on a CEDH deck, which actually was a surprise to me. I wasn't expecting this for it to be seeing play in CEDH, but it's seeing play in CEDH, Kefka, Rowan, Rogsai. I actually just also saw a Rakdos the Muscle list running this, which makes sense. Then the big reason I think this is seeing way more play is Kefka.
Wait, you just said Kefka twice. Oh no, are we doing the Kefka thing again?
Kefka thing. Hey, Kefka gets around.
Kefka is so nice, you say it twice.
Well, since the whole point of Kefka's game plan is to kind of get multiple Kefkas in a turn, I feel like it's relevant here.
Yeah, and another one I'll throw in the hat there. Have to say it, Korvold, baby.
Were you considering this?
So this was in my original Korvold list way back in the day. This was like a long time ago. The first list I ever grabbed had Valki in it. So it has been in and out of Corvold lists for many years. And it's always brought up in the Corvold Discord. Like every once in a while, someone will ask about it. And Forrest, who recommended this card, I think she was super high on it in Corvold, but she likes all the Corvold spice stuff. Like for a while, she was on like a goblin pile. And it's one of the reasons why this was recommended. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention Corvold.
I know about this card because I bought a copy a long time when I first started playing Magic again, because I bought a Prosper deck.
Yeah.
And I just wanted a way to exile more cards from my library. So I didn't get this for Valki. I got this for the backside of Tybalt.
For Tybalt? That's wild.
Legitimately, that's how casual minded I was.
That's wild.
That's how casual minded Yeah. Listeners can't see, but Kyle's showing me his version, his copy of Valki right now.
Yeah, I just pulled that out of my Corvold sideboard pile, which is this entire box. And listeners, there's no video content here, but I'm showing ya.
It's a lot.
It's probably like 160 cards. That's just in and out of my considering pile. But you know what? Shout out that Sisse player who won in a 64 plus player tournament. If you filter it down to like 32 plus players or lowered a bit, is there any other spicy includes? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Like in terms of decks?
Yeah, and just in terms of decks that run it.
Rayhan, Rograk.
Okay, Rog Rayhan. Shout out
a Jund list.
Jund piles. Yep.
Oh, you ready?
Yeah. What's another one?
This placed 12th in a 32-person Bladewing, the Risen.
I have
Let me read it to you.
Okay.
Don't even. You ready?
Yeah.
3 generic, 2 black pips, 2 red pips.
Okay.
Legendary creature, zombie dragon. It's a 4/4.
Hell yeah.
Flying. When Bladewing the Risen enters the battlefield, you may return target dragon permanent from your graveyard to the battlefield.
Oh.
And then pay a red and a black, or a black and a red. Dragon creatures get +1/+1 until end of turn.
Sick. Zombie dragon CEDH. Let's go. That's metal. Dude. I love it.
Yeah. And then surprisingly, also in the Wandering Minstrel.
Huh. I mean, I don't hate it. Don't love it, don't hate it. A lot of times, some of those lists actually play a lot like my Corvold Landfall list, and it's something that I have tested in my Corvold Landfall list, and probably the next time that you play against me, you'll probably see it.
Valki?
Yeah, I'm gonna test it.
Wandering
Why not?
Minstrel.
What? No. I wish Wandering Minstrel could go in Corvold, but I unfortunately cannot.
That would be a banger.
That would be a banger. But Valki, for sure, I'm interested in testing it out again. I already have a lot of preconceived notions about this card, and I'll be interested to hear if you can give me any reason to like keep it in the list. And you know me, I test stuff all the time. I'll throw in random stuff all the time, even if I think it's bad, into my Corvold testing list. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to show up in my tournament play list. So I'll be interested to see if you give me a reason to make me want to keep it in the major list. So have you played this card before?
It's currently sitting. I think my copy is sitting in my Kefka list right now. I don't have it right in front of me. And then it was also in my Rakdos Semessal list for a little bit until I took it out to put it into Kefka.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, yeah, let's get into your points. I'm excited about this because, like I said, I have played with this card before. I have an opinion on this card already, but I want to know if you can move the needle or not for me.
All right.
So let's do it.
All right. So the very first reason I think this could be played in your main deck is you want to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, and know when to go. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of proud of that one. That's my favorite point I've ever written, probably. But yeah.
Hey, wait, what is that? I know the Texas Hold'em one. Like you gotta know when to hold.
I actually debated singing this song.
You should have.
And then
we'll
know
do it
when
together.
to go. Right?
I don't think "Know When to Go" is part of the song though.
No,
right?
It's not. That's
you invented that
contribution to the hit song, whatever that song
remix.
Was. Right. That's because Valki has every opponent lay out their hand, right? Yep. There are no secrets now except for yours, right? Which is really kind of sweet. And obviously the reason that listeners from the Glasses of Urza, not Urza's
glasses.
Thank you.
Good job. You got it right the first time. I appreciate you second guessing yourself anyway, though. I do it every time.
Is only your opponents are revealing their hand, and it hits all 3 opponents at the same time. And then if you're in a list like yours or mine, right, where I originally played this in a Prosper deck, you were playing it in Corvold.
Turbo Corvold.
I played it in Rakdos the Muscle. in those colors, you don't really have traditional interaction. And so just sometimes being able to know, cool, I'm going to look at everybody's hands. You're going to all reveal them, like no secrets here. And that'll kind of help determine whether or not you push or not, right?
Yeah.
Like, are you going to end up feeding into that fish? Oh, well, nobody's holding any counter spells. And so it's kind of nice to time to kind of potentially go just based off of what is in a person's hand, especially when you're and you're a player that does this a lot, is like just following your vibe. Like there are so many times where I'll hold up a single card when we play together,
Yeah.
and you just think for yeah, it's got a deflecting spot. I'm looking at like a land or like a
Yeah.
creature spell, like
Yeah.
sorcerer speak, but like I like this card for those moments when you're not even afraid of like the Ristic player. You're afraid of that one person who hasn't really done anything. They've just been
Yeah.
like draw
And you
passing.
can make a mental note of like what you think is what, like how we describe it and how a lot of people describe it is like what interaction is quote unquote hot,
Right.
right? So if something's hot, that means it's active, right? So if someone has a Roger out and they have no mana, you're thinking to yourself, like, deflecting swat is hot right now. Like, flare duplication is hot right now. Like, the things that you could potentially have to play through versus if they have nothing on the board, no mana, you're like, okay, this deflecting swat is not hot right now. Like, it's not online. It's not up
Yep.
and running.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
simply my first point is that
it's just the information aspect.
it's a huge information aspect. And in this case, it is one that pairs well with like a displacer kitten, which in Kefka I do run. And so I have once ever
Interesting.
gotten the ability to flicker it to again just kind
Holy
of like
shit.
take a quick glance at
And
other people's
exile the
hands.
creatures at the same time.
Mhm.
Interesting. That's actually a really good point. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that a lot. I have never seen like I've seen Valky played. I have never seen Valky on the board at the same time as a Displacer Kitten. That's kind
It's
of
probably because it's
crazy.
not in like good decks. It's in
Well,
my version of Kefka.
I
And
mean,
my
no,
version of Kefka.
it is. Yeah, it is kind of weird to see Grixis Displacer Kitten decks, right?
Yes, yes,
Besides
yes.
Kefka.
Right.
Before that, there haven't been. Well, maybe there has. I don't know. Listeners, let me know if
There
there's
might
been
be a
Displacer Kitten focused Grixis decks in the past. Maybe Grixis Plus decks, but I don't know about like specifically Grixis.
probably not. Like
I don't. I don't know. I'm trying to
maybe
think right now off the
no.
top of my head, but I'm not thinking of
Anala
any.
lines are so tight. I doubt Anala can
I
run
don't
it.
think they
Run
play it.
Displacer Kitten, right?
Yeah, interesting. Well, we'll figure out in the comments. Somebody will let us know. But I do think that's like a really cool thing if you're playing a very control-y deck, like some builds of Kefka. Now, other builds of Kefka are not, and they're very turbo focused. But if you're playing like a control-y version of Grixis plus Kitten plus Valky, like constantly being able to just like pull stuff from people's hands and constantly getting that information refreshed is really interesting to me. That's a good point.
On top of with Kefka, right? Just again, naturally being that threat of going, oh, Kefka's coming down or Kefka's going to attack. I don't have an answer. I might have to just
Yeah.
start spending these spells, right? You and I have talked about that before, where it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to get to keep these cards.
Yeah, you can also do like big brain Kefka math with it too, where you can decide what you're gonna discard based on what you know everybody has
Right,
and what
right,
everybody is likely to discard. So you
right.
can kind of do some deduction if you have like 700 IQ and then decide what to discard yourself to get optimal card draw. But I mean, that's pretty fringe. um, that's a great first point. I figured that would be a great point. And like the start of this, which is like information is king in CEDH. So that makes a lot of sense. I don't really have, well, maybe I have a little bit of downsides associated with that. But in terms of just getting information, especially being a turbo deck and getting that information, I like that a lot. What's your next point?
And then my next point is something you touched on, right? We kind of only just briefly talked about the ability, but being able to kind of potentially snipe a really desirable effect, right? This is sometimes not going to pan out, but like
Mm-hmm.
you're looking at everybody's hands and you get to exile one creature from each of those hands, assuming they have a creature, right?
Yeah,
That you're going to be able to have Valky become a copy of, even in the same turn, which is pretty nice.
potentially.
It's not at all a stretch to think that you'll be able to pay just too generic to have Valky become a copy of Grand Abolisher. Like if you can hit one. But
Yeah, if you get really lucky,
if you
then
get
yeah,
really
four
lucky,
mana GA potentially.
but it's also kind of nice because with the huge amount of creatures that are seeing play and value creatures, right? You and I have talked about this a lot. chances are almost no matter what gets revealed, you're going to get some type of good value off of this. Now, at first, folks listening, you do have to understand, like, you do want to be picky about what you're choosing here. You don't want to pick anything with an ETB effect, right?
Yeah,
Because Valky is not going to get that ETB effect. Valky is
correct.
becoming a copy of that creature that's
Yeah,
exiled. It's not entering as a copy
yeah.
of
You
that
can't grab a
creature.
spell seeker and just be like, cool, I can get my thing.
Correct.
No, no, no. You cannot do that.
Correct. Right. You want creatures that have activated abilities or static abilities,
Yeah.
like a ranger captain. You're
Do
not going to
yeah,
get the search, but you will get the sack ability.
yeah, for sure. And do make note, listeners at home, you do not have haste with these things that you're turning it into. So if you do
Correct.
get like a dork or you get something with a tap ability, the turn that you play Valky, if you
Correct.
try to turn it into something, the turn you play Valky, you will not be able to
Yeah.
for example, you can't like cast Valky, get a mana dork, pay one, turn it into a mana dork, tap it for a different color mana. You can't do that. But yeah, just so you know.
But yeah, I think that there's huge upside there and huge value, right? So now on top of getting like a glasses averser type effect in one sweep, you're also getting to, like you said, snipe and just kind of just start picking your opponent's hands apart, right?
Mm-hmm.
Early game, this could be really disruptive.
Yeah,
A Kinnan could be relying on a dork to really get their whole game plan going. And if you can get this down turn one, turn two, those early game plans can get really disrupted and
for
can
sure.
really just set them back in terms of tempo.
Yeah, or like a sniping a bloom tender that was ready
Right.
to be developed. Yeah, like even the development pieces. It's interesting for
Yep.
sure. Cool. Obviously, like Magic Christmas Dreamland, in my head at least, because if we're thinking from a perspective of playing it as a turbo deck or as a turbo player, you're trying to snipe a Grand Abolisher,
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh
Or
yeah.
if you're in Grixis Plus, I guess you're trying to snipe. Is there anything else? Like I guess Voice of Victory. Trying to think if there's any other. I guess Ranger Captain is a good one.
Ranger
Ranger
Captain is a
Captain,
good
like
one.
you mentioned, Ranger Captain is a good one. But yeah, all the protection pieces that you can that you can find. If you're playing against mono green or another Corvold list, maybe you'll hit a docent to a lesser extent.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably like when I think about how you're using this card as a turbo player, you're likely using it to try to snipe out protection.
I think so. I think that's the first hope that you get out of these.
Yeah.
And again, I guess this kind of ties into my last point is this is a card that is pretty good at any point in the game, early, mid, or late. Like it's going to be a decent draw, right? Because early game you're hoping to disrupt. Mid game you're potentially looking to disrupt or get set up for a win, and then late game, like I said, in the decks I was running this in, I just wanted to know if I can push, right? Like, and I'm just looking like, is now the right time, or is this my window, or should I be waiting and hoping to get another turn, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to just go into two deflecting swats and like all of the counter magic in the world for 2 mana. I think it's incredibly powerful.
Yeah. I mean, I do agree that it is like a quote unquote good draw at any point in the game. The thought process there is like, if you get it early, sure, you get the telepathy type effect of being able to see your opponent's hands early, and potentially deny some early dorks or something like that. But you're not actually able to, generally speaking, play Valky and activate Valky on the same turn because you'll probably be like scrunching for mana, right? So you're probably not going to have a ton of
Chances.
mana to be able
Yep.
to do that. Chances are. But in
Chances.
the
Yeah.
later turns, if you play Valky, you might have 8 mana available to you. And if you hit that Ranger Captain, you're able to play Valky and then pay 3 mana to turn it into a Ranger Captain, crack the Ranger Captain.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, that is really interesting. Cool. What other points you got?
My very, very last point is there is very fringe cases where maybe, just maybe, the backside could become relevant. I'm not saying good, relevant. I'm
Yeah.
just saying relevant.
Yeah. I mean, I can think of one scenario that it like could be pretty relevant, and that would be like early on, this happens to me a lot playing Jund. Early, like if I get a turn two culling ritual that actually makes me like 8 mana, and I for some reason also have one red floating. That's the thing that sucks, and this is
Yeah,
something that
that's hard. The
causes
hard part,
problems
right?
as a Corval player. Sometimes I make 8 black and green mana, and I can't cast my commander after a Culling Ritual. It
Yeah,
blows.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But if you
Yeah.
have the one red available, you might be able to just like turn 2 Culling Ritual into a cast Tybalt, which is honestly not bad.
Right.
But the problem though is like there's probably good reason, and you'll probably be more consistent if you just play Valky,
I agree.
strip creatures,
I agree.
and then just like immediately turn it into one of the value creatures with your excess mana. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's
No,
like
yeah.
there's a good argument to be made to do that. I guess another counter argument to my own counter argument would be if the Culling Ritual resolved, the likelihood of the Planeswalker being countered is very low because the Culling Ritual probably would have been countered, and there's not a lot of counter spells that hit source or that hit Planeswalkers but not sorceries. So maybe it's safer to play Tybalt in that sense because it can give you more value over time. But I don't know. In my head, if I'm resolving a Culling Ritual, I kind of just want to like I'm denying everybody and I've kicked them, and now I want to kick them again while they're down so that
No,
I can have a
I
better
completely agree.
position on the game where I'm like, cool, I like blew up all your stuff. Now let's see what you guys are working with. You
No,
know,
I
like
think that's the
that
better play for sure. No,
in my
for
head
sure.
seems like the better play because if I have 7 mana available, that means I have up to 5 mana to turn Valky into something that's a 5 cost or less. I could hit a Knuckles out of somebody's, hand, and then now I can just turn my Valky into a Knuckles. Like there's so many great hits that you can get. It's Seedborn Muse. It doesn't matter. It's just like a big benefit of this card is knowing that everyone is playing amazing creatures. So the
Agreed.
likelihood
Yep.
of you getting an amazing creature is pretty high.
No, I think honestly, overall, Tybalt itself isn't that bad. It's just way too high. Like it's just too expensive for what it is. And the nice thing about the design of this card is the much cheaper creature is the front side of right. And so,
Yeah.
like if your deck is on Adnaz, like you're only taking 2 for this, which isn't like it's pretty standard, right? Like that's
Yeah.
probably close to your average, like a little higher than in your average of things that you're going to be taking losing life for, and so rather than the 7 from the backside of it. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
really kind of my last point. Like there is maybe a fringe case. I've yet to see it.
Yeah, my thought process is like somebody shows you a spell snare or shows you like a stern scolding, and then you're like, dang, can't cast the Valky now. I guess I'm casting Tybalt post Culling Ritual. But like that's so fringe. The likelihood of that is incredibly low. Maybe I guess the argument could be made like if everybody already dumped their hand and all the rocks are on the battlefield, then you'd be like, okay, the likelihood that there's actually creatures in people's hands might be low. Like you don't want to play Valky. There's no creatures in anybody's hand because everybody has like 2, 1, and 1 card. They all mold to 5 and threw out their rocks. Like I could see that, I guess.
There is also the other potentially very likely scenario where Kittens flipped into a void winnower. Now even spells are off
Okay.
the table,
Well,
and
then your
now
Culling Ritual wouldn't have resolved because you
no,
wouldn't
no,
have been
I'm
able to
saying,
cast it.
I'm not
Or
saying
just
like
like in general, if you
in
just have
general,
7 mana
in
lying
general,
around.
yeah, 7 mana
Okay.
lying around.
If you have 7 mana lying around and there's a
Hey,
Void Winner
with
out,
a void winnower out, like that's a possibility.
I don't want to be in that game.
I don't, nobody does.
I
See,
don't
that's
want
the
to be
thing,
in that
Kyle. Nobody
game. Oh
does,
my god,
unless your name is
that's funny.
Higher. Shout out to Higher.
Yeah, maybe, but he's the one controlling the Void Winnower. That's funny. I mean, there's a lot of fringe use cases in this scenario. Before we move on to the downsides, just like that I can talk about from
Yeah.
an anecdote perspective. So one cool thing about this card is you can activate Valky's activate ability. Like you can put multiple on the stack.
Mhm.
So there's some cool fringe use cases where you can turn things into different things in succession.
Mhm.
It's really fringe. It rarely happens, but it's possible. So if there's some sort of creature effect that you want to get that for a short period of time, hold priority, cast something at instant speed, gain the benefit of whatever it is that comes with turning that into a creature, and then let the second Valky activation resolve and then have it turn into something else at the very end of it. There's some benefits you can do. You can get a little fancy with it. You can finesse a little bit to a certain extent, but it's just a something to note that has come up. Very unlikely for that to happen unless you're in a
But it's
scenario
possible.
where yeah, exactly, because you're gonna get like the best case scenario, you get 3 creatures from the ETB, right? You strip 3 creatures, and then somewhere down the line there is some sequence where 2 of those creatures are relevant in quick succession, but it's pretty unlikely for that to happen, and it costs a lot of mana. The other positive to this card is that sometimes Valki does stick around a little longer than you would expect because of the known information that you get. So, like, for example, you cast Valki, hands are shown, someone in the next turn order has Thoracle Demonic Consultation in their hand, right? Under that scenario, you strip the Thassa's Oracle, goes under Valki, and then you're telling everybody at the table, this Valki can never be killed. Do not
Otherwise,
ever kill this Valki or
they
you
get
lose
their-
the game.
Yep.
It is known information. I am not angle shooting you in any capacity. You know it. I know it. I know you. You know you. I know that you know you. Don't kill my Valki. That's the only other point I'll put out there is like you can politically keep Valki alive sometimes.
Yeah.
Depending on what you hit. It's a gamble, and it's kind of funny because it's like it's Valki, God of Lies, and I feel like he's down to gamble. And Tybalt just seems like a gambling man as well. So it's just kind of like, you know, I guess it's the same person. Is that the thought process? Someone in the Vorthos will tell us. I'm guessing Tybalt like masquerades as a guy named Valki, or Valki masquerades as Tybalt. I don't
Listeners will let us know.
The Vorthos people will tell us
they'll let
why.
us know.
Anyway, cool. Are you ready for me to get into my downsides?
Yeah, let's stick to what we know. Downsides and upsides. Let's go.
Yeah, what? You're telling me this isn't your favorite CEDH Vorthos podcast? Oh, shout out to the people who knew the guy in the back of Wild Research in our comment section. You know who you are.
Ian, and from a local guy from
hey, there you go.
Team. Yeah.
Shout out. All right. Well, my downside in this same vein, something to note is that in scenarios where you're not face up stripping a Thassa's Oracle to stop somebody from winning the game, there's going to be a lot of scenarios when you play this card where you're going to be stripping some creatures that people, one, want, and two, don't want you to have. In that scenario, Valky's going to catch a lot of strays, right? Going to get a lot of heat towards it between removal spells or creatures on a later turn, like an Orcish Bowmaster that could remove Valki. There's a lot of people who aren't going to want your Valki to stick around, right?
Oh, for sure.
And something I wanted to point out with Valki's ETB on the stack, if somebody were to kill Valki, and I believe this is a judge ruling,
it's in the rules.
If Valki leaves the battlefield before it's entered the battlefield ability resolves, correct, each opponent will reveal their hand, but no cards will be exiled. Correct. So if someone doesn't like your Valki, doesn't want their creature card stripped from their hand, if they are a good Magic the Gathering player with the ETB trigger on the stack, they'll swords your Valki. It's a little fragile in that sense. And that's kind of my first point with that ruling is like there are scenarios where you are not going to be able to even get to those creatures that you're going to be revealing because Valki is so fragile. And there's no time between that ETB on the stack where you can activate Valki to turn it into a thicker butt creature because you haven't stripped those creatures from hands yet, you know? So it's a really awkward sequencing of things. If it were like an as it enters, this effect happens, it would be a different story. But because your opponents have the knowledge of being able to like almost think your own steps, like 2 steps ahead of you and say to themselves like, oh, if I let this Valki ETB trigger resolve, they're going to take my Orcish Bowmasters. I'm going to have to play my Orcish Bowmasters now and shoot the Valki so that they don't get my OBM. And even though I was waiting for a Ristic trigger or what have you, I'll still have to reveal my hand, but hey, at least somebody's not stealing my Orcish Bowmaster, you know? So it kind of plays face up in a scenario, and that's not a pun because, yeah, you're showing your hand face up, but the play pattern strategy of it, I guess, is face up. So that's my first downside is just be aware of that ruling and be aware of how that interaction works.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. But I think that at the end of the day, if your Valki does get like your opponents to reveal their hands, you get that information. Yes, you are sharing all of that information as well, and it eats removal, but you don't really get the like exile. Like it's not too bad of all the creatures that you're running. It's probably not the worst thing on your board to get hit, right? In terms of it's one of those like. In my head, it's probably pretty rare that I actually get a creature like in practice. I've noticed this as well. Like it's rare I actually get to have Valky become a copy of something, right? If it's like a ooh, that's a really great card, like my Valky is on the chopping block like right away, right?
Yeah.
From all three other parties. And so I guess when I play this, I'm looking for like that Glasses of Urza effect. And the bonus is if this sticks around, I at least got to disrupt their hand a little bit.
Yeah.
That's the floor for me with this card.
There's also like another downside that I want to bring up here that's
Yeah.
kind of relevant because in this situation as well. The second downside, it's a fringe one, but it's not a May, right? So if you're not communicating well with your table and potentially someone says like, "Oh, I could deal with this Magda, on this next turn, we're fine, we're not going to lose," and you're like, "Okay, I'm going to cast my Valky," right?
You
If
have
there's
to.
if there's
Yeah.
only one creature in your
Yeah.
hand in that player's hand, you have to take it from them. So there's no world where you can be like if you do that and that person was like, I can deal with it on my turn, when they untap, they can cast their OBM and you strip the OBM from their hand and you cannot activate Valky to make an OBM. Now that answer that you thought you had is now stripped away from your opponents. And obviously, this is probably preventable, right? If you're able to have a conversation first,
Mm-hmm.
and the person identifies it immediately, doesn't, realizes it's not a May, they can't stop you on the cast and just be like, wait, don't do that, right? Because once the ETB, resolves and the information is revealed, there's not going to be any takesies backsies from judges, right? Because there's absolutely like one of the definitions in terms of like the takesies backsies rule in like MRE, like comp rel type stuff is, or MTR rather, not MRE. I don't know what the hell acronym. I'm just making
So
up
many
acronyms now. Just making them up as I go. And in MTR rulings is like the no extra game knowledge or no extra game information. I don't know. Somebody will correct me in the comments below. But I would be hard pressed to find a judge that would allow the Valky to reveal all information to the table and then do a walk back. Ain't no,
No
way.
way.
At least if
No
I were a
way.
judge, there's no
Like
planet
that's
where
so
that would
far.
be.
That's
Yeah,
so far.
that'd
Like
be crazy.
it'd be different if it was on the stack, right? Before things are
Exactly.
drilled. But once it's
Yeah.
entered the battlefield, like
No.
ooh,
Yeah.
ooh,
But that's
yeah.
that's my second downside is it's not a May. And you might think of it as being a positive in that sense, but really as the controller of the card, like you're not going to be pressured to not do it by somebody, which is like a positive, I guess, because it has to happen. But anyway, just be aware that it's not a May and it could potentially shoot yourself in the foot from a political standpoint. The third downside I have is that it's not pure denial when you're able to take cards from people's hands,
Mm-hmm,
because when Valky dies, the creatures go back to their owner's hands, right? So it's not just like a pure denial of that card. It kind of sucks in that way because
It's a
the
layaway
second,
plan.
yeah, exactly. So the second it dies, your opponents are just back to where they started. You're not getting it's just a lease, it's just a lease on these exiled cards. There's nothing you can do about them or do about it. So it's just something to be aware of. Those creatures will go back to your hand. And now, like I was talking about earlier, if it were a situation where you took a Thoracle away from somebody, then your Valky's probably sticking around because people are going to protect it, right? I get that, understand that 100%. But at the same time, if it's just three amazing value pieces for you and your opponents don't want you to have them, your Valky's going to die. It's just not going to survive. So that's a big downside, is that the creatures are going to go back to their opponent's hands when Valky dies. My last point is that you have to commit a lot of mana to get particular pieces. Like if there is something super valuable, like let's say you cast Valky the first time, you see everybody's hands, you strip away a Seedborn Muse or whatever. It doesn't matter what it is, right? Ranger Captain. So 3 mana or 4 mana, it doesn't matter. When it comes back around to your next turn, you go to activate Valky to turn into Ranger Captain. You activate it as X equals 3. Everybody knows, because you stripped a 2 cost, a 3 cost, and a 4 cost, that you're going for a Ranger Captain because it has to be the amount that you pick.
Yep.
That being said, if there were 3 costs, you don't have to tell people what you're going to turn it into until the ability resolves, which is a fringe benefit. Once you have to sink that mana into it, though, if somebody then just casts an OBM or casts the swords, you not only lose your Valky and all the cards go back to your opponent's hands, but you also don't get that activation. The activation, you just sunk 3 mana for nothing. It's pay 3 mana to do nothing. So that's my fourth downside, is just kind of like you have to really invest in this thing that has one but. Like, are you sure you want to do this thing? Because if it doesn't work out, you're screwed. If you have a boatload of mana, it's kind of cool because you could activate Valky once, they respond with their Ogrish Bowmaster or whatever to try to ping it down. Then you just activate it again to turn it into Ranger Captain again. And then now it's a Ranger Captain with 3 butt, and then the OBM ping doesn't hit anything. So you could do that if you have all the mana in the world and Magic Christmas Dreamland, but
chances are you're winning anyways.
Yeah, exactly. But chances are, if you have that much mana, like it's a moot point. But that's the downside I wanted to point out next is just you could be in a situation where you're investing a ton of mana with the hopes that something with the lowest toughness possible, that's not 0, survives. You're hoping that a slight breeze doesn't hit. And my last point is anecdotal. My last downside, I know I have a lot of them for this, which is kind of funny because, I played the card a lot, is that giving your opponent's info just helps other people out sometimes, right? It's the telepathy dilemma. Like when people are playing with cards face up, you could just be, we talked about this in the Glasses Versa episode. You could just be staring down at a loss, and there's nothing you can do about it. Everybody gets this information. Rog side going next goes, oh, cool. I thought this person had a counterspell. Looks like they don't have a counterspell. Okay, I win the game? ? And there's nothing you can do about it. At least this has the, slight benefit of being asymmetrical, so nobody knows your hand. But if you're in Rakdos Plus, it's a good chance you might not be in blue and you might not have an interaction. There's a chance. I don't know. Hard to say. But yeah, that's my last point, is just the telepathy dilemma is kind of weird. It also sometimes makes you seem like the big bad guy at the table, so people can use it as a political tool against you. I wouldn't hate when you're piloting this card to show your hand as well if you are not a threat. So when everybody shows their hand, you show your hand too. Just be like, hey, good faith. Here you go. I have 2 lands and a lightning bolt. You guys can live your lives. I'm not the threat, That's something that you can do. It's an option for you. You don't have to do it. But if you're facing very savvy political players that can use Valky as leverage to push their plan forward. All right, that's it, y'all. I didn't even have to do my last Fringe point, which is that Tybalt is bad, but boom, send tweet. All right, what point of mine do you think was the biggest downside for Valky?
I think it's the fact that this legendary creature god has a tiny little butt. Like
it's
that's
the tiniest
tiny
booty.
Little thing. Like it's not indestructible like Heliod or any of these other cool gods. It's very like thematically like a Loki, right? Like it can't really take a punch, right?
Yeah.
Like it's going down. It's full of deceit and powerful effect. I don't think you were trying to argue that it's not a powerful effect. It is, but it's easy to disrupt.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really fair point.
Cool.
What point of mind do you think best supports for why people should be considering this in their main deck?
Yeah, I mean, besides the fact that you created a remix of the Texas Hold'em song,
yeah, buddy.
I mean, I think it's the Magic Christmas Dreamland, right? It's like, look, we're in Rakdos, right? We don't have access to great protection. Yeah. Could you imagine if Rakdos the Muscle could just play Grand Abolisher? Well, guess what? Now, if you're lucky, you get it. I love things that break color pies. I love things that allow decks that are generally constrained to go outside of their color pies to get, better material. That being said, I know somebody's going to come back and punch back at the argument and be like, just play Mardu, lol, which, is also a pretty good color pairing. And there's a reason why 4 and 5 color decks do so well in CEDH historically. But, it's a completely different conversation. But I do like that point where sometimes you can just snipe a silence effect, and that's all you need to win the game, baby. That's it.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, Kyle, it's time. Have we done enough? Have we convinced you? Is the very first MDFC card that your good friend, Forrest, recommended a good card?
Oh, man. I feel like I really ripped into this and had so many downsides to it.
Actually, I don't think you
downsides.
Did. I actually don't.
Okay, are you gaslighting me right now, y'all?
I think you for I feel like the debate on this one. I felt like the debate on this one was way more tame than in other ones we've done. So it was fine.
Okay. Well, my answer is yes. It is a good card. And I kind of
We did
maybe
it.
gave it away a little bit in the beginning when I was like, I showed that I had the card in front of me because I am going to be testing it again in Corvold. And, maybe I'll be surprised. Unfortunately, with Corvold, I don't get the Displacer Kitten benefit that you talked about. That is honestly another. I just said that my favorite upside was potentially the Grand Abolisher, but I do like the idea of using this with Displacer Kitten. It's kind of cracked, but I just don't know what deck would like actually use that besides Kefta. So, but I think this is gas in those decks, and it's pretty cool in that sense. But yeah, I'd say Valky, God of Lies, that's a good card.
Oh my gosh. Actually, I'm actually a little surprised. I thought you had played it enough. And honestly,
Yeah, stop. It
I,
was
I'm
me, Valky, the God of Lies. It's not a good card. I was tricking you the whole time. I
oh,
dug
you
into
did it.
this,
You did
yeah.
it.
I tricked you
You
the
tricked
whole
me.
time.
It was him the whole time.
It was hidden the whole time. Or was it? Now everybody's
Oh,
confused.
yeah.
Nobody
People are
knows if it's
confused
good or
or
not.
bad. Well, you know what's funny?
I'm gonna leave him with that.
Even I wondered. I felt like I came into this not knowing if I liked this card that much, even though I brought this card up. Like, I'm like, I have played this as well a fair amount. And everything you said was true. I do think it's a really powerful card. I do think we're seeing it a little bit more. Where did I see it recently? I think I'm seeing it in Gwenum list.
You can't play it in Gwenum. No, you can't play it in
Oh, you
Gwenum.
can't play it
It's
in Gwenum. You're
Rakdos.
right. You're right. You're right.
It's
You're right.
okay, I'll
You're right.
cut that.
Cut that. No, you're gonna totally leave that in. That was a Valky lie.
It was a
What a
Valky
lie.
lie.
What a
I'm leaving
lie.
that
What a
in.
lie. Damn it. All
Valky
right.
got you again.
You want to give me some decks that you think
Yeah.
we
All right.
played in?
Lightning round. Ka-chow. All right. Rogsai.
Yes. 6, 7, 7.
All right. Najila.
Oh, 5.
Oh, I also didn't even explain the lightning round segment.
It's fine.
Listeners, we're
People,
rating it by scale of 1 to 10. And
they'll
how
figure it out.
likely we
They'll
would
figure it
be
out.
to play the card. Yeah. Okay. Dahada.
7, 8, 8.
Oh, did you Valky lie me again?
Yeah,
Say
Valky
seven?
lied you.
Just kidding. It was a prank. It was 8.
8, 8.
All right. Last one. Clark Silas.
Kruk Silas.
Yeah, I'm going deep in the tank.
I'll give it a 7. I think it's pretty interesting. Who knows what's going on with that deck, right? They don't.
I don't know. I
They
saw
don't
it and I
know.
was like, maybe this is gonna be good? Question mark.
Maybe.
I don't know.
If
Let me
you
see if they
don't
run
think
Displacer Kitten.
you know,
Checking. Checking. I don't see it.
I think my list might. I've played Kruk Silas. I root on this for a little bit. I test it.
I'm looking up some top performing lists. I do not see.
Probably not.
I do not see it. Womp womp. Oh well. All right, that was a fun lightning round. Ka-chow. It's different than the. I don't want to get copyright
Struck.
infringed. I don't want Mickey Mouse coming after me. I don't want Mickey Mouse coming after me. So I'm gonna have to do my own Lightning McQueen sounds. I've been doing the thunder soundbite. You know what I'm talking about? The
Yeah, I know.
doom doom doom.
Yeah.
It's a little scary, even when I'm editing. Sometimes I make it too loud, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm
Oh
gonna jump
gosh.
scare people. So instead, maybe I just go. Meow.
And that's your own. That's a
Ka-chow.
TAGC copyrighted right there.
Exactly.
From your
It's
own
protected.
imagination. Yep.
Yep. All right, y'all. Are you ready for our favorite closing segment?
Oh yeah.
That's a good card, question mark. Listeners, if you haven't played with us before, what we're going to do is Ya is going to provide me, as well as you, the listener, with an obscure Magic the Gathering card name. And it's going to be our job, as well as yours, the listener, to guess everything about that card: color, type, cost, flavor, text, artwork, everything. Please play along with us by guessing, making your guesses in the comments, in YouTube comments, Spotify comments, or in our Patreon Discord, in the channel thread. Is that what it's called? The episode thread? Sure, we'll call it that.
Thread. Yep.
And play along with us because we really enjoy it. All right, y'all. What is my obscure Magic card?
Okay, you got to listen carefully here because it's kind of just listen.
Okay.
The name of the card is Sabo Tavik. Let me spell it. Sabo, spelled T as in Tango, S as in Sierra, ABO, Tavik, TABOC. Sabo Tavik.
Okay, this is definitely a legendary creature. I'm going to say it is Sabo Tavik. Green. No, it is green and white. It's going to be 2, a green and a white, For a legendary creature, human soldier, it's going to be a 3/3. And it reads, well, maybe I'll do the artwork first. What I'm imagining is like this recruiter of the guard type vibe. So, like, some sort of like maybe soldier, like it's like a human soldiery guy. Think Gondor, maybe with like a Hershey's Kiss helmet, like from Lord of the Rings from the Gondor people, like
Yeah.
Hershey's Kiss helmet on top, but like chain mail and maybe like a little insignia of types that makes them look like they're important because they're probably like a captain or something like that. And they're holding up a sword in one hand, like, I'm a soldier. Look at me. I have a sword. King of the castle. um, and
King of the castle.
the text will read whenever Savo Tavik attacks, create 2/1/1 white soldier tokens with double strike.
Well, that's pretty good, actually. Wow.
And that's really good. Oh shit. Flavor text will read hit him dot 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 twice. That's it.
Twice.
That's all I got. He's telling the soldiers, like, hit him
I love
again.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Twice.
You ready?
Okay. Yeah. What do we got?
Sabo Tavik. I actually don't know my Magic the Gathering color pie that well. I believe it's complete opposite of what you said. It's black red. It's a
It's a
Rakdos
Rakdos.
legendary. You were right. It is a legendary.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a legendary creature, Phyrexian Horror. It
Oh, okay.
is 5 generic and then Rakdos, black red. 5
Jeez,
generic, black red.
big chunk.
It is a big chunk because it is a 7/4. That's right. 7 power, 4 toughness. This might be one of the bigger creatures we've ever done for this. It has first strike, protection from legends or legendary creatures.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has black tap to activate the destroy target legendary creature. It can't be regenerated.
Whoa. Okay.
Flavor text. I might almost pity my enemies if it wasn't so amusing to watch them die.
Oh, okay. Sabo Tavik is a little nefarious.
Phyrexian, and then I actually chose this one because I think the art is metal as fuck.
It is weird. It is
It
weird.
is weird.
It's giving metal Scorpion King situation. I don't even
So
know
instead
what
of
this is.
like Gondor, if you had said like Shelob
Shelob, yeah.
Shelob from Lord of the Rings instead, I think that would have been more accurate.
So it's like a spider person with a lot of hands and a lot of spears. Well, 2 spears, and the face is scary. I'm scared. But anyway, that was an interesting one. It's kind of like Doomblade on a stick. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, I
but
think so.
for legends only.
Yeah.
That seems like it would be like a bounty hunter type card,
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
like only killing legendary creatures. So maybe Sabo Tavik is a bounty hunter Phyrexian Horror.
Again, Vorthos, let us know down
Vorthos, let us know. Yeah. Well, that was a fun one. Thanks, y'all, for bringing that one. And thank you, listeners, for playing along with us. You probably got closer than I did because I was way off going for Celestia. Anyway, thank you so much to Forrest, as well as our other listeners, for recommending today's card on Valki, God of Lies. Please direct your attention to the links in our description down below, where you'll find everywhere we host our podcast: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Please help us out on Apple Podcasts. Rate us 5 stars. It helps a lot. Shout out to the small sect of TAGC listeners listening on Apple Podcasts. You are really, really focused. Think that you have some of the the most retention of all of the listeners. So shout out to you guys for doing a great job listening to the entire podcast. You might be the ones still listening right now as we speak.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, we appreciate that a lot. Also, please give us some comments on Spotify, as well as rate us 5 stars there. That helps us out a lot. And please, please, please check out our Patreon. in the description down below if you want access to additional TAGC content and full podcasts, like a whole podcast on power balance. And last but not least, huge shout out to our only That's a Bonkers card patron member. Go to Combat MTG. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next Monday. Bye.